Welcome. My name's Joshua, and I've just completed the 10-day master cleanse. We're going to go over a conclusion right now. This is essentially going over some basic EVOLT body scans of what was occurring in my workout regimens, and then versus between when I started the cleanse and down. Now, everybody has a different reason to do a cleanse, so let me go over first and foremost the reason I chose to do the master cleanse myself. This doesn't have to be 100% why you should do it, but just this is a personal experience. This is a spiritual experience if you allow it to, if you desire for it to be. And just like any fast or when we take on some new challenge, usually there's some type of, there's some spiritual type of energy behind it. And if anybody knows already, my channel is specifically right now designated and dedicated for those interested in like meditation and just your best health. So I have so much that I can offer, but I can really only offer what I am willing to go through myself. And I've learned that the hard way over a lot of years in life. So to start, why in the hell did I decide to do the master cleanse? Well, for one, I went to the doctor a couple months ago. My dad had really bad diabetes during his life, and I got my first results as far as my weight was concerned. And this has never happened in my life where I go to the doctor and they say, you're a little bit overweight. Not like, obviously not obese or anything, but there's a body dysmorphia, I think a little bit in my own head because I spent so many years being so skinny. I used to smoke, I used to drink, I used to just really abuse my body with extended intermittent fasting. Now, intermittent fasting as a, truth, like in healthy quantities, it makes sense for certain people, especially if they're staying on an active program relative to their lifestyle and so forth. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about a really bad habit of not eating for extended periods of time because I would curb my appetite with a cigarette or anything else. And so over the last almost 3 years with not smoking anything, that's including vapes, I'm not just saying like trying to talk only about cigarettes. In fact, all nicotine has been a void from my body for just about 60 days shy of 3 years. So this year I've been kind of finally going through this right sizing mentality, right? Where 60 days ago roughly now as well, I started at the gym. And that's what these two first results are. We'll go over those in a bit. Another reason is over these last 3 years, obviously also since quitting smoking, I had developed like a nervous system or a pinched nerve in my elbows where if you do a test, right, you pull your hand straight to the side and then pull either your outside 2 fingers or your inside 2 fingers. Well, the outside 2 fingers, they would hurt, and I was like holding it more like this and unable to really get that full extension. So since I've been able now to get to this point where I have full mobility, I was even able to play some golf earlier this year, but there's still just like this lingering pain, like anything at the extremities, right? Holding my hands all the way out to the side and doing exercises, pulling in, like those chest pumps, or especially pull-ups, right? Letting all the way down and then pulling up. It's just shooting pain inside of my blood vessels, right at the elbow. And so as a result of that, I had also kind of done the reality of like that saltwater flush where it's talking about really getting in the middle of your bloodstream and cleansing all those passageways. So far, everything seems a lot better, and we'll see in the long run how much that maintains, as diet does play a big part of these types of things. But that was another one of my agendas as far as possible improvements with my obvious health things. And then the final is weight, but really it wasn't just because I was fighting down 200 pounds, but it was because my diet was just, and has been, and hopefully we just won't stay this way, where as a single person who lives alone, I'm really only cooking for myself. If I had extra portions of things and I had like even the slightest little bit of craving, I was just overindulging. And it was resulting in a bigger belly. And that's really what it comes down to. Even though like I could get my arms, everything seemed to start looking right when I was at the gym, I actually was putting on weight as opposed to losing weight. Even though I was playing with, extending my my running, for example, my cardio exercises, it just didn't feel right. It just didn't really feel fluid. I still felt heavy. And in any instance, when you talk about cleanse or letting go of habits and so forth, it really just comes down to a really simple thing: let go, right? When I let go of the hard foods, let go of my choice in the whole thing and allow whatever the body's going to do, that's how I can really rediscover. Before I start trying anything extreme at the gym and all these other ideas that are in my head, I want this type of body and I want this. Well, that's not how the body works. We're not there to make the choice of what our body is. We're here just to treat it right, for it to be the right size. And from everything I was kind of gathering from those that had positive experience anyway online regarding the Master Cleanse, that's what it was about. It's not about just losing weight. It's about allowing the body to actually be what the body was originally intended to be, its right size. And really it just comes down to stopping absorbing all those extra excessive nutrients that get stored up as toxins and buildups in our system. There's a video I took on my sister's birthday, July 9th or July 10th. And I did this scan, one of these scans the day before, July 9th, where I weighed in at 196.9 pounds. Or sorry, 196.2 pounds. So it's not even close to the heaviest. But I was playing golf at Top Golf and turned sideways, and it's just so apparent. My belly was just bulging, There was such a massive difference between the end of a gym at 196.2 and really the day in, day out of what my body looked like and felt like, And for me, seeing any type of belly is disturbing for whatever reason. I want to be the runner. I was a cross-country runner, when I was younger. I literally loved the endurance. I was a soccer player. I was known as Speedy. So I was always a guy who wanted to be capable of running. I'd rather have the big legs and capable agility rather than the big muscles and the heavy bodybuilder style. But then, I was really encouraged by a friend that I knew over the last and have known over the last couple years, and he knows a lot of he's in the MMA world. He just pays a lot of attention, I guess, to that. And what it comes down to is, he just kept bringing it up, and then I finally got to this breaking point recently, about a couple weeks ago, where we were online, together pretty late, and I asked him about it, as far as a goal that I have, maybe doing, I don't know if it's going to work, but like Air Force training. In order to do that, I need to be able to run 1.5 miles in under 15 minutes. I need to be able to plank for 3 minutes, and I need to be able to do these cross-legged crunches. So the running, I could barely get by, but that's a matter of improvement. When it comes to planking, that's all core, and I struggle with that, but I'm pretty sure with, again, an added effort that I wouldn't have a massive issue doing that. But when it came to doing crunches and sit-ups and things of that nature, it was virtually and isn't virtually impossible when I talked to him. And that's really where I just, okay, let's do this. Let's get back to less belly, give up kind of all this work that I've supposedly done in 30 days. Not that I lose everything that, was working, but my energy just dropped off considerably. And what I was able to do during the cleanse, which I would suggest also for those that really want to do this, because we're carrying a lot more water weight when we do a cleanse like this than we might see on the surface, was I meditated at night to a 582 hertz, 528 hertz, frequency, which is solar plexus, right? That's our solar plexus frequency. And obviously we're drinking and eating lemonade, but yellow, right? That's the color of the solar plexus. So I just kind of at night was doing the meditations. And I do Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at the gym. So I didn't cut back from that, and I was testing myself on the running and endurance still throughout, where I'd at least go in and run 1.5 miles under each session. So I was able to do 4 of those during the 10-day period. And at the beginning, it was a lot harder. I cut back on the speed and so forth, because my energy was really low. But every time I get done with a session, I also would go into the sauna for extended periods of time. I'm talking not the 15-minute sessions, but like 20 up to 50-minute sessions inside the sauna. And how much water weight just starts flooding out. It feels great, very beneficial, but the dramatic difference between what the weigh-in before going in the sauna and after the sauna and pool time, it's so much more intensified. And maybe I was just pushing myself, but that's really what it came down to and where I got my results at the end of the day. And so the moment that it's kind of a goal, maybe more of a mental thing, but the second I hit under 185, I'd weighed in at 184.6 at the end of day 7 into day 8. That's when I said, nope, we're curbing back. So we did the vegetable broth that night and didn't do the salt water morning and kind of started curbing out of it. But that's really what it comes down to, Also, when it comes to ending the cleanse, why I just resolved to do it a little earlier than just the full 10 days too, is I noticed there really wasn't anything else in my stool or in my system that it was evident that there's nothing else really to purge as far as the colon's concerned. There are added benefits when it comes to skin toxins and other things of that nature too throughout. They might not be as evident to me right now, but there is a pretty distinct difference on any irritations of the skin so far. Feel a lot more, light. I even shaved my hair, but there's just, I wanted to do this and treat this fully through. So I hope that answers some of the questions on why I decided to do this. It may not seem like it's for everybody, and there's a lot of fear about thinking, I can't eat solid foods. I have experience of this where I had my mouth wired shut. When I was 18, I had a surgery where my upper jaw was shaved out, and so they had to wire my mouth shut anyway. So it's not the first time I've ever been on a liquid diet. But that time I wasn't just on strict lemonade either. I would try and tease. You could always squeeze different morsels of proteins, and you're eating protein shakes and ice cream and all that other excess sugars and stuff still, no matter what. So this is still different from there, but just avoiding the solid foods sometimes psychologically feels like something, wow, how can you even live like that? But when we get into this, you can only really understand what I'm talking about until you can't understand it until you actually experience it. But I still hope that this is just encouraging and helpful for those that might be playing into their idea of going into it. All right, so when we start from the get-go, okay, what this comes down to. Started at the gym end of June, July 1st through July 9th. I weighed in at 196.2 pounds. Now, virtually everything on this was over range, high. There's only a couple things that were optimal. One is this visceral fat area. It has a pretty big range of 50 to 100, and I was at 96, so just barely under the threshold. 97 actually. It's barely under the threshold of the visceral fat area. But everything else was high. There's total body water, which is also just mostly a result that determines how much water's in my system. So I hadn't necessarily been doing the sauna. I was retaining a lot more than normal. But at the same time, it was high, 109.8. The top end is 107.6. Now, I'll just be reading this stuff off, and maybe I can edit in the actual graphics of each of these sheets so that you can better understand really the distinctions. But I spent a whole month at the gym, and everything else is pretty much high. There were some optimals in what is my right arm and right leg. So the right leg is the one I had a knee surgery, so it tends to be a lot slimmer than my left. So that's kind of a weird thing, but my left was still high. And there's like 2 optimals on the legs. But really, this is about my core. This is about the overall body mass index. So I spent about a month in the gym, and on the 7th of August, 29 days later or so, I'm actually, and this is trying to fight down, because I had weighed in like as high as 203 pounds when I got to the gym, for instance, and I'd be able to walk out some days at like 198, 199, a lot of 199.9s. I was like barely fighting down because, I had so much, there's a transference of energy from fat into muscle, and the muscle can be more dense, but I'm not necessarily losing weight. I'm just, kind of really subtly adjusting some of these numbers. So I actually weighed more a month later at 196.9. This was after one of those water sweat-offs with total body water, but still not enough. I was still retaining 115.5, which is high and over the scale. We want to be between 88 and 107.6 on the total body water. So there was more to sweat out considerably, but that's like kind of the main result, right? When our body's still retaining even after sweating off. That was the lowest result I could get in this prior to the cleanse. 196.9, 197. I was actually surprised I even weighed in at under 197, because usually it was like 197, 198 on the actual scale. Nonetheless, I digress. There's really not that massive of a difference in shifting anything from highs to optimal between these 2 sheets. The first time I went in to the, second time I did my sheet a month later. What was my results of 30 days of going to the gym? And it wasn't necessarily like, oh, wow, I'm not making any progress, but it's slow progress, And it's also when there's so much discipline and different things on choosing what types of workouts, and, there's so much variable basically. When you're going to the gym to try to get in the right shape and you're promised all these things, I'm drinking protein shakes. I started doing, these protein shakes afterward, but mixed with actual fruit, throwing in real bananas, real pineapple, real strawberries, mixing those in with a couple scoops of protein. And, it felt good because I was getting in better shape. I definitely had more, bandwidth or whatever, more energy to exert toward my workouts. And I was really feeling quite strong and big, but it wasn't evaporating my gut. And I still had the limitation of doing my core workouts, the leg ups, the crunches, the headstands. I'm trying to get into back into a yogi type of thing. If I'm doing my breath work, then it's about like extending my belly and coming back in and so on and so forth. That just wasn't happening. So here's what it really comes down to in the long run. From August 7th through just today, August 26th. My lowest there was 196.9, remember. The lowest I weighed yesterday prior to actually eating was 182.2. This is just weight, but nonetheless. And today after eating, And I did do a gym session, but not a sweat off. I didn't actually like go in the sauna. And so this is just more of like the reading where it's just a workout. I wasn't pushing myself into those extreme things. This is more of like the average day and like physically exerting myself. The only thing I had actually done up to this point was run a 1.5 miles on the treadmill and do some light lifting at the gym for under an hour. In fact, it was under like 40 minutes. And 183.6 pounds in 7 to 9 days. 7 to 9 days. I was able to transfer down, that's roughly 12 to 13 pounds. More importantly than that, though, the lean body mass. I don't know if we'll be able to focus on these, but I'll try. The lean body mass, optimal. Although the body fat mass is high and the visceral fat levels over range at still like a 10, we have a lot more optimals in here. Mostly that total body water, right? This is before an actual sauna session. My body naturally now has the right amount of water. It's still at the high end, but I'm in the range now. I know what I'm working with. Okay? Even the visceral fat area right here, optimal, 94. Just at the top, but still within range. And these are numbers that'll shift, they're variable. They depends on what type of, what time of the day. Is it after a meal? Is it before, bed? Is it right when you wake up? Things of that nature. But is it after we exert everything or optimize our body to get the right results? That's not what this was. This is just a daily walking thing. And these are massive when I have the segmented analysis. This is also the highest. There's like a interesting scan part of this where this BWI score is actually strangely a little bit lower than it was when I weighed more, but 7.5 out of 10, which is up from, let's see, what was it when I started? 7.2 out of 10. So 0.3 increase on the BWI score. My bio age was right size back to 39 years old from 40. So I've dropped maybe a year of that aging, according to this body mass index thing. But overall, I'm extremely encouraged by the result of this transformation, which essentially just, when we surrender to what the body actually needs as opposed to trying to force our way in on all these variables, what actually comes to be is the right level. My total energy before I ever got to the gym was 2,870 kilograms per calorie, something like that. So I've dropped to over 150 points on that T, is what it's called, which is total energy expenditure. So basically, if you're really wanting to understand the whole point of all of this, and I'm not going to beat the bush around this, these are just my results. And everybody's going to have various results, right? Dependence on it. When I ran for my 1.5 miles today, I did so at a much higher speed, like 7 miles per hour, which is basically 8.5 minute miles, 8 minutes 36 seconds a mile. But it's not just achieving that, it's that I can do that with ease, 1.5 miles. Okay, not ease, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm sweating, but I'm getting there, and it's not as hard on my knees. The main thing is when I'm done, I can do leg ups. Now we'll see, because now I'm going to start introducing more energy and more sustenance as far as food is concerned also. But that transformation is going to be the main thing, to be able to actually keep my core down. And by resetting the digestion system, hopefully being able to curb, and this is the most important thing about this whole process, is to not overindulge in those sugars. I was eating Skittles and donuts and stuff in the morning at work at like 7:30, 8 a.m. because that's what I needed for my brain function. Still too much damn sugar. And so in the long run, really what I think is most important to conclude as far as all this is, there's a process. It's a long, well-known process, but as I understand the chakra system, right, our thinking needs to transition or translate to who we actually are. So how does that work? Right, from crown chakra all the way back down, gated through, balanced, aligned, right, all the way to our root, to the bottom of our spine, where we sit, where we plant, where we set our feet, how and who we know who we are. So this is how we change. It starts with our thinking. So with our thinking, what is that? It's an intention. This has been the whole thing about me in 2024, is resetting new intentions. Doing a 90-day writing intention, right? That was an incredible experience. Getting back into a golf tournaments, I did a couple of those in June, just to really explore, well, where am I? I hadn't played in 5+ years, but I just did a couple of scrambles and got to see where I'm struggling, how I felt with that much activity. But just doing it was great. And then now I'm 60 days back into being back at the gym. And not just to be back at the gym full steam ahead, 7 days a week, blah, 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 overindulgent, but just really taking it as a balancing act, right? I'm not there to just shift from a whole pendulum over here to all the way over here. It's not about the dramatic shifts. It's about changing my behavior, changing a behavior. It doesn't have to be massive. They're just incremental shifts. Sometimes the best thing that we can do isn't a 180-degree change. If I'm going this direction, completely turn around. Sometimes the best things and best shifts of our life are just this much. It's just like a degree or two to the side. It's recognizing something within that 90-degree peripheral, that maybe what I'm pursuing isn't 100% what I need to be doing, or I'm overindulging in it. This is the extremism tendency. So as opposed to that, I just wanted to incorporate Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for doing some light workouts, getting back in shape, but the process is still so slow prior to doing this reset. But the first step right here in my thinking is setting an intention. It's just by thinking up something new. The second thing is my behavior, right? So I just mentioned. It's actually doing the thing. It's not just thinking about it. We got to actually take this into action and creating a behavior. And I've gone over this numerous times in my Facebook group. I don't know how much here on the YouTube channel, in the meditations and so forth. But, the Facebook group, 7 Chakra Tiers, you can find that if you're interested. It's mostly for meditation and chakra work and, alignments and so forth. There's 21 days to create a habit, right? That's just a surface level habit though, and 90 days to make it an actual practice where we can actually choose, is this something I really want to carry forward, or something that's just for me for a time? So from here, my crown chakra, my thinking, or my third eye, right? That's my intention. This is my thinking. There's something wrong. Second, in my throat, a behavior, an expression of that. Okay, let's go to the gym. In my heart, is it a habit? Is it a habit worth holding on to, down from my heart into my solar plexus? Is it really worthy of carrying here in my heart via my personal power to practice? Because below that, in this water energy, then it becomes second nature if we maintain that for a long enough time. And eventually, once we utilize all those things, this upper all the way back down, finally, that's when it can become who we actually are. Now, I'm grateful that this channel is up to nearly 30,000 subscribers, just passed over 29,000. But I recognize that this is a completely different demographic that I'm pushing into right now. Trying to take on new challenges for myself personally and document them is a new arena for me. what I'm encouraged to do, the reason I'm doing this channel the way I am now is that for a lot of years, there's so much about doing something for yourself on a personal level, but it's a different thing to actually give it away and to share my experience with another human being. So when I go through a cleanse, or when I do a writing thing, or when I'm exploring different meditation projects and processes, mudras, any information, it's not just about learning, and then it's learning to teach. It's learning to carry that message. It's learning to give it away to the next person so that they can also then be hopefully inspired. And this is just a great opportunity for me via my YouTube channel to actually explore how many people might be interested in the Master Cleanse, and hopefully result in transforming other people's lives, as it is inevitably going to for me as well. Already at work, people recognize it. Certain people have done it before. They ask me, like, what day are you on? And their experience, 15 years ago or 20 years ago doing it. But in the day in, day out, it also inspires those that have never done it. And just by showcasing that you can, in real time and in front of your fellows, in front of my coworkers, and regardless of me knowing what's going on in their lives, doing these positive actions and just doing what's best for me first instantaneously creates positive karma in my life. I'm just simply looking forward to having a higher levels of prana, natural foods, picking all these tomatoes that are coming to harvest on my plant. And it's amazing to look at that plant, right? I have 3 tomato plants, and there's just red popping out everywhere over the last 10 days. And I'm just like salivating at the mouth, excited for my opportunity to actually eat from my own garden again. Because over these years, back in 2015, I did my first full garden on another old YouTube channel. But it's all a learning process. Now, these are my personal results, Evil 360. It's inevitable that you're going to have an amazing transformation by doing something like this. And it doesn't mean you have to do the Master Cleanse. I'm not just encouraging you to do Master Cleanse. I'm encouraging you to do anything that's, quote, uncomfortable or out of the ordinary, to out the ego, not to just void the ego. It's good to have positive self, affirmations and understanding of who we are and live within certain visceral habits and so forth. But the reality is that there are obvious things that come up where we have choices that we can make. And if I can just shift from, a couple degrees to the side and really take on something new. This is more like a whole 90-degree extreme, right, for 10 days. And then just like recalibrating back to the side, maybe I'm like, and say 45 degrees different. Now I'm eating, but I'm not eating all the same things. I'm shopping, but I'm not shopping for the same things. That's the shift I'm talking about here. And so by resetting, starting from the get-go, I'm hopeful that, one, I'll be able to do all those push-ups when it comes time, if it comes time for me to do Air Force training, those physical tests. I'm confident that my elbows and different levels of my fluidity is going to work out. I'm confident that moving forward now with this shift, I'm going to start buying the right types of foods and cheaper foods, right? Not so processed and sugar and easy, things of that nature, so that I can move forward on a healthy plane as opposed to just doing the same old thing. But I think those who've come before, obviously, and done this, there's quite a few. When it comes to YouTube, there's the Viking. There's a whole numerous amounts of YouTube. Just type in Master Cleanse and you'll find a number of them. And then hopefully me, I don't know how well my playlist will play, but it's not about that. It's just about having this documented, and so that when I come back to, I can have a better experience in doing it. Because this is definitely not, for me, a one-time deal. It may be next year, about the same time. It may be in 5 years when I'm 45 or going on 45. But no matter what, these are the numbers I wanted to document. This is who I am today. Doesn't mean this is who I need to be forever, but this is the starting ground. And I'm excited for what comes in the future. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following along. Again, my name is Joshua. This is J.A.C.K Studios. J.A.C.K stands for Never Again Hate. X is a variable, stands for anything. You fill in the blank. It's up to you. But it's voiding the hate by verbal iterations and obsessions of the mind, and transforming those things into love and acceptance and tolerance of others, and living only within ourselves, understanding that there's nothing else outside of myself that needs to be taken care of, because it's all going to get taken care of when I surrender to it. I hope that makes sense to you. If it does, come on back. And thank you for your continued support. Stay tuned. We'll have more challenges in the future, and as we're closing out the end of the year, doing another meditation series at some point in the year. Peace be with you all.